All right, so Something Cool here is with Greg from Epic Tantrum. How you doing, man?
Good. How are you doing?
Real good, real good. Now, I got a chance to check out that debut album of yours, and it was amazing. But it
Oh,
was
thank you.
pretty ambitious for you guys to do a double album on the first try there.
Yeah, well, there was a couple of reasons behind it. The first one was you never know if you're going to get a second album.
Right.
So, we kind of said, hey, let's, throw it all out there right now. The other reason is I was listening back to a recording of one of our shows, and it struck me how much different we sounded live than we did in the studio. And I wanted to present both sides of the band, especially because the music we play is so complex and different. I wanted to A, prove that we could pull it off live, and B, kind of show the little edgier side. So I really pushed everybody to do the live second disc. And I also thought it takes a lot of balls to put out a double disc as your first album.
Yeah,
So
for sure, man. Now, Abandoning the Strange Rooms came out in January 2020. You guys are all excited. Life's going good. And then all of a sudden the world closes down. How did that affect you guys as a band?
So we had two record release shows. We had one here in Syracuse, and the one here in Syracuse we had booked in an IMAX theater. And so that's one of those theaters with all the big screens. And we made all these videos to play above us while we were playing. And as that date was getting close, I was getting nervous that show wasn't going to happen. That show happened. And then 2 weeks later, we were supposed to be in New York City for our real record release party. And we had a lot of press and radio all set up. And about 3 days before, we had to cancel it. That was the week that everything kind of ended. And, COVID, that's like, yeah. So that we still haven't played New York City. And we had plans to do a bunch of shows that summer all over the East Coast. All of that got scrapped. So it really, there's nothing quite like putting out your debut album about a month before a global pandemic starts. It's great for your career. I recommend it for every band out there. It's clearly the recipe for success.
Now, a lot of bands do a lot of writing during that time off, but when you just put out an album, did you guys have writing and have stuff ready to go for after you write the success of this one that you have now, or what are you doing?
So, we had started working on new material, but because of the pandemic, we weren't able to rehearse for about 4+ months. And then by the time we were able to get back into our rehearsal space and start playing again, we were playing a show that was going to be outdoors. And it's hard. Like I said, these are complex songs, so we actually have to practice for the shows to be ready to play them. So we've written 6 new songs. We're going to do an EP soon, which will be 3 of the new songs, and then 2 improvised things that we've been doing. We've been doing a lot of recording improv things, just trying to, keep pushing ourselves musically. So that'll be out soon. We were all kind of writing stuff, but the way we write is sort of like someone comes in with an idea, and we can write a whole song and have it all charted in our head. But by the time the 4 of us get in a room, it's just going to change and become totally different. So, I tried to be productive. We also participated in 2 virtual concerts during that. So we participated in 6 String Salute, which was organized for Live Nation's Crew Nation to support all the people in the different crews. So that show was Trans-Siberian Orchestra, Tommy Shaw from Styx, Steve Vai, Richard Williams from Kansas. I hope I didn't say his name wrong. It was like a who's who of people that were involved in that. And then we also participated in one with Sea of Tranquility Fest, which is an online scene. So that was Uriah Heep, Dora Pesh, Mark Kelly from Marillion, one of the guys from Blue Oyster Cult. So we filmed all of those and participated in those things. But it really took a lot of the momentum out of everything we were doing.
Oh, 100%, man. A lot of bands, especially newer bands, didn't get through it. Some of these guys went and got 9-to-5 jobs and found, happiness doing whatever they were doing. Was there an issue with you guys where you thought about maybe not continuing, or do you always knew once it goes through, you're going to, once we all get through this nonsense, you're going to be back out there?
So we we don't really see our band in the same way I think other people do. We are not driven by the same goals. Like our goal is to keep pushing ourselves as musicians. And I play the two guitarists in my band are master level guitarists by every definition. If they lived outside of Syracuse, New York, they would be touring, recording, gigging guys, but they're here. So what we're really, our goal is really just to keep making music. And, the fact that we actually got to put out an album is an achievement, but it's, to us, it's, just one step. Like this is like a hobby, but more than a hobby. Like it's a very inspired hobby. We're very committed, but we all kind of have like an attitude of like, look, we just do this because we enjoy it. And if it gets to a point where we're not enjoying it, we're just going to stop. And we don't really have any preset expectations. We're not worried about the things that most bands are. We realize that the music that we make is not going to appeal to everybody. We think there's an audience for it, but our goal is really, we keep trying to challenge ourselves to just be better and better musicians. And as long as we keep doing that and keep succeeding at that, then we're successful as a band as far as we're concerned.
Now, for you to say that you make music that's not for everybody, what makes you guys choose to play that style?
It's what interests us. We can't play songs that don't interest us. There's no point. And in fact, even the way we play our songs, we build into our songs place parts where there's improv in the songs. The challenge isn't in writing the song. The challenge is being able to play it over and over again. And, the idea of playing like a simple pop song, just not that those are simple. I'm not trying to demean any genre, but it just doesn't appeal to us. One of us could come in with a pop song, but by the time we have all put in our 2 cents and twisted it and mangled it about, it's going to be a much more complex thing, because that's what interests us. It's what we want to hear. Basically, I saw a quote once where somebody said, I paint the colors that I want to see. And so we write the music that we want to hear.
Now, with you saying that there's improv in your songs, would every set of yours be the same, or whenever people see you, will there be a little bit of changes in the song?
If we played the same song 3 times in a row, it would be different all 3 times. That's where we kind of get lumped into like the jazz parts of us. We don't have really any, we're not really a jazz band, but people keep saying there's jazz parts to us because of the improv part. But yeah, the solos are always improvised. They're never the same. How long certain parts go, it's sort of like we're playing in the moment and we're creating art right then and there. There's a framework, and then we're just taking it from there.
See, that's pretty cool, man. I mean, for people that are following you and they go ahead and check you out, it's never going to be the same thing. I mean, I know bands that I've seen 10, 20 times, and, it's the same thing over. I know it's going to be this song, here, and then at the finale is going to be this. It's just, you get tired of it after a little bit, but something with that's pretty cool.
I mean, I think if you get to a certain level where you're playing big enough rooms where there's lights and everything's coordinated and all that sort of stuff, you kind of have to do that stuff. You don't have to, but that a lot of bands, that's the way they go. For us, it's sort of like, again, it's the challenge. It's can we actually pull this off? And sometimes we don't. And even that's part of the fun, we see all of our songs as living pieces of art that are constantly changing and morphing.
Now, has there ever been a time where somebody's like, well, I like this way better than I liked it on the album or something like that? And they're like, can you keep that going?
Yeah. Usually me. I'm usually the jerk in the band who keeps trying to change everything. And then our drummer says he quits because we have changed a song that we've been playing for 2 years one way. And then he's like, I quit. The songs kind of have a life of their own. And just as people, like I said, there's a framework, but then where it goes from there, it kind of changes. So we are always changing. If I walked in and said tomorrow, hey, this song would sound better like this, and we all agreed, there's something nice about being in a small band that not a lot of people know, and that if we change something, who cares? Obviously we'd like to be more popular and we'd like people to care, but like at the end of the day, it's we have some freedom.
You know what I mean? You think about some of the jam bands, you know, like the Grateful Dead used to, and Fish and stuff like that. I mean, they have their
We
songs
don't.
that they've written, but
Yeah, we try not to think of those jam bands. Just kidding.
I'm just saying, like, you know, when you see them live, they switch things
I know.
up.
I'm just making a joke. Yeah. No. Yeah. I mean, again, we're not a jam band in any way, shape, or form. We just, like I said, there's just parts of our songs that some songs are very written to the, note to note. Some songs there's just a lot of room in it, and but it makes it more interesting. Again, it's really, I know this is going to sound horrible, and I don't mean it to. We're making music for us. We
Right.
don't really care what anybody else thinks. We think people will like what we do, and we hope they do. But at the end of the day, we're making music for us, and we hope people come along for the ride, and we hope people enjoy it. And if they do, great. But it's really about us.
That's pretty cool, man. I mean, you know, to have that much emphasis in what you want to do is a pretty unique thing for a musician. I mean, you know, a lot of people would be like, hey, I need you to do this and stick to this format, and they'll do whatever to keep on going. But for you guys to be more artists than musicians, you know, to switch things up the way you do is a pretty cool thing.
Yeah. I mean, it's not always easy. There's times where I wish I knew what was going to happen next, especially when I'm as the bassist trying to lock in with the drummer. But walking that tightrope is a lot more fun than just being a karaoke band.
Now, I've seen you guys just recently did a festival. Is that right?
Yeah, so we did an event here in Syracuse last year. We had been doing an event for that was a benefit for our drummer's nephew for a couple of years before that, and we kind of expanded it. So it's called Epic Fest, obviously a play on our name, and we brought in some headliners. And so the first night was Why Not, who's an amazing Rush tribute band that plays some original music and plays some of their obviously some of their own music. And the bassist in that band is if you look on like No Trouble, he's like one of the top 10 most popular bassists. He's amazing. So no pressure on me as the bassist with him playing after me. So, wasn't intimidated at all, he says sarcastically. So they played the first night. And then the second night, just to add to the pressure, we played with Pact, which is Alex Skolnick from Testament's new improv sort of band, with Percy Jones from Brand X, again, another just monster bassist. And there's two, Kenny and Tim are in that band as well. So, we were trying to bring art into Syracuse in a way that wouldn't normally be done. And we had the venue that we work with gives us, kind of run of the place. So, and we raised money for charity, and it was a great success. It was a lot of fun. And in Pact, which is Pakt, actually released the live recording of that song through Moon June Records. So if you go to Moon June on Bandcamp, you can hear their set that night. It's pretty amazing. It's what they do. It's sonically kind of bewildering what they pull off.
That's awesome, man. So every year, do you plan on expanding on it, making it bigger and bigger?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the hope. I mean, this year things have been so weird, with COVID, and now it seems like we're kind of coming to what hopes to be the end. So we're starting to kind of put more thought into it. I wasn't sure if we wanted to do it this year, just because ticket sales were hard. Once that Delta variant hit, sales started going way down. And in my day job, I'm involved with a lot of other tours, so I saw what was happening. So now that I see that tours are starting to go back out, we'll probably try to expand it this year, and just make it a bigger thing. Syracuse is a tough market. It's very much a cover band market, and that's what does well here. So we're kind of swimming upstream, but that's fine.
Now, I'm in Buffalo. So in Syracuse, did you guys just lift your mandates on Monday, or was just our area?
Well, I think that was statewide. So like the schools today, the mandates were lifted, and businesses, I think, were a week or so ago.
I'm talking about concert venues and stuff, because I know, like in Niagara County, some of them are still making you show vaccination records and masks and stuff. But I know in Erie County here in Buffalo, like the bigger places, like the arena and the stadium and stuff, no longer, you don't need any of that anymore.
I know that the Carrier Dome announced no masks anymore, like a day or so ago, or a couple days ago. I don't know about all the other venues, and it just changes so daily, it seems like. So as long as things keep going in the direction they're going, I'm going to guess that there won't be too many more mask mandates. But if another variant comes around or things kick off, it'll come right back.
Yeah, I was just curious to see how that worked. I mean, like I said, there's one place is about 20 miles from the other and it's different rules. That's still
Yeah.
got to be quite frustrating, especially as a musician. If you're trying to tour and figure out routing and stuff, it's so different in every place you go.
Yeah, I think most tours though have like, at least the ones that we've been involved with working on it more in my day job is, have like, this is how we're doing it, end of story. And, the thing is if you're on a tour and someone gets COVID, you're shut down for a few days. So most tours are trying to stay as safe as they can because, 5 days is a lot of money on the road.
For sure. Now, going forward, what's your touring plans with you guys? I mean, do you plan on hitting the road this year or just doing local stuff?
Well, we have a show April 2nd here in Syracuse with Stickmen, which is Tony Levin from Peter Gabriel and King Crimson, Marcus Reuter, who's also played with King Crimson, and Pat, I don't know how to say his last name. I'm going to look at it, Mastalotto. I'm going to screw it up, but there you go. Those guys are playing here. They play, Tony Levin plays a Chapman stick, which is are you familiar with the Chapman stick?
No.
It's amazing. It's sort of like, I don't know how to describe it. It's like a cross between a guitar and a bass. It's a really cool instrument. You should check it out. And then Marcus Reuter plays a touch guitar, which is sort of an instrument I believe he kind of invented. So but you're talking about guys that are playing in King Crimson. So you're talking just world-class musicians.
Right.
So we're doing that April 2nd. We've been asked to participate in a couple of festivals that haven't been announced yet, because they're waiting to see if they'll actually happen. That'll happen in the fall. And then in December, we're supposed to play with Toxic Monkey, which is Steve Lukather from Toto's sort of jazz improv band with one of the guys from Steely Dan and Willie, who used to play in David Letterman's band. And so we're doing those. Again, all shows with monster bassists just to put the pressure on me. I think that's the goal. And I think as the year kind of opens up a little more, we'll start looking. We won't be doing any like real touring yet, but hopefully next year we'll go out more once things are much better.
I've noticed that's kind of the thing is, to do the festivals and maybe a week or two run rather than a full-on tour, because you still don't know how things are going to be. And it's, it's a lot of money to go ahead and invest in a 40 to 60 date venture and not know if the rug's gonna get pulled out from underneath you again.
Yeah. And there's certain money that you just don't get back when it gets canceled. Like you can postpone things and tickets and all that, but we're just playing it by ear here. We'll see what happens. And hopefully by next year we'll have new music out and we can go back to our plans from 3 years earlier.
It's crazy when you think about it. When you said there's certain things you don't get back, I always wondered what happened to like the merch that got printed up during that time that had the dates on the back. I mean, there was supposed to be some big arena tours going on, like, Def Leppard with Motley Crue and stuff like that. They had tens of thousands of shirts with these dates that they probably had to, some people in China are probably wearing them. The third world countries that needed them are wearing canceled tour shirts.
Most of the time they're just getting thrown out or they get used in the screenshot for test prints or something else. I actually work in a merch company and we have a band who was going out in March of 2020. We had about 40 boxes that we were shipping to them, and we held it a couple days, luckily, and we finally shipped it to them yesterday. So almost 2 years. 2 years later, almost to the day, we finally shipped them their merch. Unfortunately for us, we had that merch sitting here for 2 years. We'd already paid to produce all of it. So in that case, there was no tour dates on it, so we got lucky. But I'm sure a lot of people. Well, I mean, there was major merch companies that went out of business because their whole business was sort of predicated on touring, and there was no touring.
Oh yeah, man. I mean, the people don't understand how much the music industry's changed over those past couple of years there. I mean, bands aren't even doing full lengths anymore. They're either doing singles or doing EPs or whatnot, because it's so hard to go ahead. And you're, especially, you know this from the fact from putting out an album and then getting shut down for years, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I think with things like Spotify and just streaming, you can put out music more often, which is exciting. You know, you're not waiting, you know, to put together an album, you know, and then and Spotify actually, you know, seems to like when you put out singles instead of full lengths. When you're a band like we are, that's sort of in a proggy, I don't really think of us as a prog band, but we kind of get lumped into that world. What people want is albums. So like press pretty much EPs they don't care about. So it's a weird mix that you've got to kind of find, you know. But again, for us, it's like we are focused on trying to build the band, but we also are focused on just, if we want to put the music out, we're just going to put it out. We just don't care.
Now, going forward, you know, you mentioned that you did a couple of things like streaming wise. Do you plan on doing any more stuff like that, or just going to be actual shows from here on out?
I know one of the festivals we were asked to participate in is going to be streamed as well as live. Like there'll be people there and then they want to stream it worldwide. So we'll do that. Um, I don't think, you know, the festivals we participated in were with mega bands, and we were like, you know, the little small band that kind of got in there on a fluke. Um, I don't know that we're big enough yet to do a streaming concert on our own. I don't really love streaming concerts. Being honest, I don't. I mean, you know, when we were all locked up and in quarantine, they were nice, but at the end of the day, it just, you know, there's something amazing about being in a room with live music and, you know, feeling the music and the crowd and the energy that you just can't get from those streaming shows. But, you know, we're not against it if there was the right opportunity and everybody was into it. And, you know, eh, we're not against it, but it's not something we're actively thinking about doing.
I got you, man. I mean, you know, I kind of dug those streaming things during that time because it was something to do. But, you know, if I wasn't able to watch them over my Oculus, I mean, I don't know, really see the point of sitting in front of your computer screen. It's flat, you know, you don't get into it. It's just, I could go to YouTube and watch anything like that if I wanted to, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know. You know, I think as technology progresses, the at-home viewing experience might get better. But for now, it's just kind of,
So
some people love it, and if they do, that's great. It's not for us.
that's the one thing that I've learned during all this time that you can't take away. I mean, I know that, you know, people are getting used to watching movies at home because theaters, you know, I don't know, see the point anymore if you can push a button and get this day of release, but you're never going to be able to get that feeling of a live concert that you would sitting at home.
Yeah, there's definitely a thrill of playing music and feeling the crowd reacting or not reacting. You know, like there's certain songs that we play that I know by now that usually we get a big reaction at the end of. And when like all of a sudden there's crickets after we do that song, I'm kind of like, huh, what's going on tonight? And, but that, you know, live music like what we do is kind of like walking a tightrope. And that's the thrill, like, you know. So, you know, that's, you know, it's not a dress rehearsal. There you are, there's people watching, and, you know, that's more fun to me than, and feeling that energy.
So it's safe to say there's been times where you went ahead and took a song a different direction and you learned soon after, like, never to go that route again.
Yeah, you know, we've played enough, we've rehearsed enough that we kind of have a feel for where everybody's going. But there's definitely times where I've been like, I wonder what this will sound like, and then I'm like, nope, that did not sound good. And it's happened live a few times. So you know, in the moment, I'm always like, I'm a pretty harsh critic of myself. I'm always like, oh, everybody in the audience just heard that, and they're like, wow, does he suck? But, you know, but the reality is the guy in the audience who probably doesn't even know the song we're playing didn't notice it to the same degree I did. Now we've moved on and has already forgotten it. But in my mind, I register it and you know, recall the horror regularly.
Now, for those that are watching, they want to follow up, they want to go ahead and get a copy of this album, they want to check out tour dates, see videos, things like that. Where do they go? What do they do for everything?
I would go to epictantrum.com. And there's a show page, there's a video page, or you can follow us on Facebook at Epic Tantrum Band. I think I think that's where we are on Facebook. And that would be the place to go. We're also on Bandcamp, bandcamp.com/Epic Tantrum. And it's a double CD. The first part of the CD is studio recordings. The second CD is live with some tracks that we didn't put on the first, put on the first disc, so it's a little bit different. The artwork was created by Johannes from Dangerous Age, who's done work with Styx, King Crimson, Dream Theater. I mean, he's worked with a ton of bands. He created a great cover, and it's a pretty cool package. And of course, you can check it out on all the streaming platforms like Spotify and stuff like that.
Awesome, man. It was a pleasure speaking with you, and hopefully I get to come out and check out that festival later this year. I mean, we're close, so.
Yeah, or just come to Syracuse on April 2nd to see us with Stickmen. If you haven't seen Stickmen, it's just, those guys are on a different level with musicianship. It'll blow your mind.
Yeah, definitely, man. I'll have to check it out.
Cool. Thanks. It was nice talking to you.
You too, man. Take care of yourself.
Thanks. Yep. Bye-bye.